Welcome to Section 1 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This section of the course covers the report wizard, and we will take a look at data sources, report queries, tabular and matrix report types and their configuration, and deployment location, and steps to complete the wizard. Upon completing this video, you'll know how to use the report wizard to create a shared data source. This shared data source will be used in subsequent reports. The report wizard is a fast, easy, and automated way of creating reports. We will see how easy it is to populate the Select the Data Source window of the report wizard. Let's begin by creating a new Reporting Services project in Visual Studio. Click on File, New, Project to display the New Project window. Under Installed Templates, expand Business Intelligence, and then select Reporting Services. Select Report Server Project Wizard in the center panel. Enter your Reporting Services project name and storage location. Check the Create Directory for Solution if it is not checked. This location will be the physical location of our newly created solution. Check on Add to Source Control if you are using any. Click on OK. The first window of the Report Wizard displayed. Click on Don't Show This Page Again box to prevent this page from showing in the future. Click on Next. On this screen, we will start by giving our data source a name in the New Data Source Name text box. For this course, we will use the Microsoft SQL Server connection type. Also on this screen, you can enter your connection string in the connection string text box, or click on Edit to have Visual Studio build your connection string for you. Click on Edit. In the Connection Properties window, enter your database server name. Choose the appropriate authentication method for your server. In our case, let's use Windows Authentication. Select the database name from the drop-down list box. You must have at least read access to the database on the server you specify. Click on Test Connection to verify your connection. Click on OK when the test results message box is displayed. Click on OK to return to the Select the Data Source page of the Report Wizard. Finally, we want to check the Make This a Shared Data Source box, which means we can use this data source throughout in our solution in any report. When the wizard completes, this newly created data source will display in the Shared Data Sources folder in the Solution Explorer window. In future usage of the report wizard, you can choose Shared Data Source or create another new data source. Because this is our first data source in the new Reporting Services project, we must use New Data Source. Clicking on the Next button on this page will take us to the Design the Query page, which is the topic of our next video. In summary, the location of the source data for the report is established on the Select the Data Source page of the Report Wizard. If you're not familiar with database connection string syntax, Visual Studio can assemble the database connection string for you. Shared data sources are preferred because they are reusable. Welcome to Video 2 of Section 1 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. The topic of this video is report queries in the Report Wizard. Upon completing this video, you will have an understanding of how to populate the query string text box in the Report Wizard. We will pick up where we were in the previous video. On the Select the Data Source page, click on Next to display the Design the Query page. We're given a choice of clicking on the Query Builder button or entering our query directly into the query string text box. The best practice is to already have the query developed in SQL Server Management Studio or some other query development application. We can also enter calls to store procedures. And even though Reporting Services has grouping and sorting functionality, let the database server do the heavy lifting of grouping and sorting. In your query, only choose the data you need in the report. Extraneous data will increase network overhead and the footprint of the report. Also, when designing and testing your report query, be mindful of the fact that your query could tie up database server resources if the query is resource intensive. And if possible, you should have a reporting database separate from your live transactional database. Paste the query into the text box. The query comes from the supplemental material for this course in Report Query 1.SQL. Now let's see how we can utilize the Query Builder wizard of reporting services. Clicking on the Query Builder button displays the Query Designer window. We can test the query here to make sure it was copied correctly and make changes if necessary. Click on OK to save changes, or cancel to discard changes made in the Query Designer window. At this point, we can click on Next to move to the Select the Report Type screen. In summary, the best practices are to already have your query developed, to let the database do as much sorting and grouping as possible, to keep the amount of data selected to a minimum, to be aware of the fact that your report query could tie up valuable database resources, and it's a best practice to have a reporting database separate from your live transactional database. Welcome to Video 3 of Section 1 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This video's topic is tabular report types and their configuration. Upon completing this video, you will know when to use a tabular report and the configuration options for tabular reports presented in the Report Wizard. Also, we will be on our way to creating tabular reports like the one shown here. We will pick up where we were in the previous video. On the Design the Query page, click on Next to display the Select the Report Type page. The report type we choose is heavily dependent upon the query and the type of information we are trying to convey in the report. Tabular reports are good for showing data in rows and columns where the header row is fixed and the information is listed like a roster. Matrix reports are best suited for looking at measure data in two dimensions such as year and product or year and gender. This screen will not allow for the creation of pie charts and bar graphs. These will be discussed later. Select the Tabular Radio button and click on Next to display the Design the Table page. The designing of tabular reports through the Report Wizard is time-saving and effortless. Page breaks will be created for each distinct value for what are the column or columns in the page level displayed fields box. The fields at the group level will be grouped together on the report. This functionality is similar to the functionality available in an SQL group by clause. The fields at the detail level will be displayed at the lowest level on the report, typically on each row. In our report example, let's click on Purchase Year in Available Fields, then click on Page. Click on Product Category, then Group. Click on Gender, then Group. Click on Quantity Purchased, then Details. Click on Amount Spent, then Details. If you make a mistake, select the incorrect field from its displayed field box and click on Remove. In this example, there will be a page break in the report for every distinct purchase year value. The quantity purchased and amount spent values will be grouped by product category and gender. Click on Next to move to the Choose the Table Layout page. On the Choose the Table Layout page, we are given the option of stepped or block layout. Stepped will allow for placement of subtotals at the top of the group and allow for drill down. Block will allow for subtotals at the bottom of the group. We will select the Stepped Radio button. We will check Include Subtotals to display subtotals for our groupings. We will also check Enable Drill Down to turn on the drill down functionality. In Section 4, we will go into more detail about drill down reports. Let's click on Next. Table style is simply the theme in which we will display the report. On the Choose the Table Style page, we are presented with 6 built-in color schemes for our reports. The style you choose is your preference. If this is the first report in your Visual Studio project, clicking on Next will take you to the Choose the Deployment Location page. If this is not the first report in your Visual Studio project, clicking on Next will take you to the Completing the Wizard page. Both the Choose the Deployment Location and Completing the Wizard pages are discussed in Video 5. In summary, tabular reports are good for showing data in rows and columns on a page or screen where the information is listed like a roster. The Design the Table page will help you become more efficient by saving time and effort when creating tabular reports. The stepped table layout allows for the placement of subtotals at the top of the group and allows for drill down, while a block table layout allows for subtotals to be placed at the bottom of the group. Welcome to Video 4 of Section 1 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This video's topic is matrix report types and their configuration. Upon completing this video, you will know when to use a matrix report and the configuration options for matrix reports presented in the Report Wizard. Also, we will be on our way to creating matrix reports like the one shown here. We will pick up where we were in Video 2 of Section 1, Report Queries, On the Design the Query page, click on Next to select the report type page. As mentioned in the video on tabular reports, the report type we choose is heavily dependent upon the query and the type of information we are trying to convey in the report. Tabular reports are good for showing data in rows and columns where the header row is fixed and the information is listed like a roster. Matrix reports are best suited for looking at measured data in 2 dimensions, such as year and product or year and gender. Matrix reports are similar to crosstabs and pivot tables. Matrix reports are more dynamic and more flexible in nature. Select the Matrix radio button and click on Next to display the Design the Matrix windows. The designing of matrix reports through the report wizard is time-saving and effortless. Page breaks will be created for each distinct value for the field or fields in the page-level displayed fields box. The fields at the columns level will be displayed on the horizontal axis of the report. The fields at the row levels will be displayed on the vertical axis of the report. The combination of columns and rows will allow for groupings of data values similar to the functionality available in an SQL group by clause. The fields at the detail level will be displayed at the lowest level on the report, typically on each row. Let's click on Purchase Year in Available Fields, then click on Page. Then we're going to click on Gender and Columns, then on Product Category, then Rows. Click on Quantity Purchased, then Details. Click on Amount Spent, then Details. If you make a mistake, select the incorrect field from its displayed field box and then click on Remove. In this example, there will be a page break in the report for every distinct purchase year value. Values for gender will be displayed horizontally across the top of the page. Values for product category will be displayed vertically down the left side of the page. The quantity purchased and amount spent values will be grouped by product category and gender. Click on Next to move to the Choose the Matrix Style page. On the Choose the Matrix Style page, we are presented with 6 built-in color schemes for our reports. The style you choose is your preference. If this is the first report in your Visual Studio project, clicking on Next will take you to the Choose the Deployment Location page. If this is not the first report in your Visual Studio project, clicking on Next will take you to the Completing the Wizard page. We will discuss the Choose the Deployment Location and Completing the Wizard pages in the next video. In summary, please remember that matrix reports are well suited for looking at measured data in 2 dimensions, and that matrix reports are very similar to crosstabs and pivot tables. Finally, the Design the Matrix page of the Report Wizard will make you more efficient by saving time and effort when creating matrix reports. Welcome to the final video of Section 1 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This video's topics are the deployment location and completing the Report Wizard pages. Upon completing this video, you will know how to populate the deployment location page of the Report Wizard and the final step of utilizing the Report Wizard. We will pick up with the tabular report, which, if you remember, we were working on in video 3. On the Choose the Table Style page, click on Next to advance to the next page. If this is the first report in your Visual Studio project, clicking on Next will take you to the Choose the Deployment Location page. If this is not the first report in your Visual Studio project, clicking on Next will take you to the Completing the Wizard page. On this page, we will tell Visual Studio where to deploy the completed report. Set the report server version to SQL Server 2008 R2 or later. The report server URL is different than the report manager URL. Think of the report server as a web service that handles report metadata, while the report manager is used to view the report. Your database administrator can supply you with this URL. For this course, the report server is running in native mode. The deployment folder is your choice. This folder is simply a reporting services folder where all current report metadata will be stored. Click on Next to advance to the Completing the Wizard page. Note at this point we can click on the Back button to go back to any point in the Report Wizard and make changes. Enter a name for this report in the Report Name text box. The name entered for the report on the Completing the Wizard page will become the working title of the report. Also in this window, we can see an entire report summary of all the operations I have performed in Report Wizard. Click on Finish to complete the report wizard. Now the focus is returned to Visual Studio. In the Solution Explorer, we can see our shared data set that was created earlier, and we also see our report. Click on Preview to view the report. Notice how the report is not formatted nicely. In Section 2, we will discuss how to format a report. Also notice there are additional options in Report Viewer, such as Refresh to refresh data, Print to print format, Save Export, where we can export and view current reports in different formats such as PDF, Excel, and Word. In summary, even though the Choose the Deployment Location page of the Report Wizard only appears the first time a report is created in a new SSRS project, the deployment settings can be changed at any time by selecting the project properties in Visual Studio. Also, please remember that the working title for the report comes from the name entered for the report on the Completing the Wizard page. Finally, the report will need some additional formatting, which is not provided by the wizard. We will discuss this further in Section 2. Welcome to the first video of Section 2 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This section of the course covers the formatting of reports, and we will take a look at formatting column headers, interactive sorting, adding calculated fields and expressions, formatting cells, viewing the report on the report server, and formatting the report for printing. Upon completing this video, you will know how to format column headers for an impressive visual impact. Let's begin where we left off in Section 1 with our tabular report created by the Report Wizard. The Report Wizard will not automatically format the column width to fit the header or the data. Let's click on the Preview tab to view the report to see what needs to be adjusted in the column header. Please note that the Preview tab is read-only while the Design tab is where we will make our edits. Also, the Preview tab only displays the interface to all report viewers. We will go back and forth between the Preview and Design tabs to make adjustments and view the results of these adjustments. Let's click on the Design tab to begin our changes. For efficiency, we can select the header row and make changes to all column headers simultaneously. Now, we would like to see the column headers as aligned center and bottom of the text box. This can be done in the following two steps. First, let's horizontally center all of the column headers by selecting the header row and clicking the Center button on the toolbar. Second, let's set the vertical align property for the header row to bottom. We do this by pressing F4 to display the Properties window. We will sort the properties alphabetically and find the vertical align property near the bottom of the window and choose Bottom from the drop-down list. Note that the F4 key is a shortcut to the Properties window. We can preview the report to view our changes. Next, we will reduce the font size of the header row to 9 point. We can do this to the entire row through the toolbar or through the Properties window. Please notice that the toolbar provides buttons that will allow us to bold, italicize, and underline the text. The toolbar also has controls that allow us to set the font color and the background color. Finally, we will adjust the widths of the columns to fit the data. We can do this by using the Width property in the Properties window or by adjusting the column with the mouse. Let's make the product category column wider while making the gender, quantity purchased, and amount spent columns narrower. Now let's click on Preview tab to view our changes. In summary, we need to realize that formatting column headers can be an iterative process with a lot of back and forth between the preview screen and the designer screen. However, changing the attributes of the column headers is a straightforward process. We need to keep in mind that the column headers might need to be adjusted again after the data cells are formatted. Welcome to Section 2, Video 2 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This video covers interactive sorting within an SSRS tabular report. Upon completing this video, you will know how to effectively add interactive sorting to a column header. Let's begin where we left off in Video 1 of Section 2. If we were to have some flexibility in the display of the data on our report, by changing the sort order of the data and not have to change the query or store procedure, we can add interactive sorting to the column header. We will add interactive sorting by product category to the report. First, we need to click on the Design tab. Then, right-click on the product category column header. Then, choose Text Box Properties for adding interactive sorting features on the column header. Next, we need to select the interactive sorting page and check the checkbox labeled Enable Interactive Sorting on this text box. Next, we want to choose the data to be sorted. Because the product category is grouped on our report, we choose the Groups radio button and then select Table 1 Product Category from the Sort By drop-down list. In the Sort By drop-down box, we will choose Product Category. Click on OK to return to the Design tab. Now, let's click on Preview. Notice the up and down arrows in the top right of the Product Category box. These arrows take up horizontal space in the column header, so we might have to make the column header wider to accommodate these arrows. Let's click on the arrow and see what happens. The first time we click it, it appears as if nothing happens to the data. But the two arrows have now turned into one arrow pointing up. Clicking on the up arrow will cause the product categories to be sorted in reverse alphabetical order, and now the arrow points down. We can toggle back and forth to change the sort order at will. Notice how, when we switch back to design mode, the sort arrows do not appear in the product category column header, as it can only be viewed in the Preview tab. In summary, interactive sorting allows the data in the report to be sorted differently from the sort order provided by the query. The addition of the sort button might require adjustments to the formatting of the column header. Welcome to Section 2, Video 3 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This section of the course covers the adding of calculated fields and the use of expressions. Upon completing this video, you will have added a calculated field to the report and used SSRS Expression Builder for the first time. Sometimes we need to add additional fields to the report without changing the query or stored procedure. Within the report, fields can be calculated using the data returned from the query, using SSRS built-in fields, using expressions, or a combination of all three. Expressions will allow for greater flexibility in the display of data and formatting. Let's begin where we left off in Video 2 in the Designer. We will add a calculated field named Average Spent per Item. First, we need to display the report data by choosing View from the menu and choosing Report Data at the bottom of the menu. Next, expand the Datasets folder, choose Dataset 1, right-click on Add Calculated Field, give it the name Average Spent per Item, and then click on the Expression Builder button. The Set Expression for Value text box has line numbers along the left side and the equal sign displayed by default. Under Category, click on Fields Dataset 1. Under Values, double-click on Amount Spent. In the text box, add a / for division. Under Values, double-click on Quantity Purchased. Click on OK to return to the Dataset Properties window. Click on OK to return to the Designer. The new field now displays in the Report Data window. Click on the new field and drag it onto the Report palette. Notice how the new field is only added to the Detail row. Right-click and copy on the new field in the Detail row and paste it into the empty box above. Notice how the fill color of the text box changed. Now let's click on Preview. We have successfully added the calculated field, but notice how poorly the cells are formatted. No worries though, because in the next video we will format these cells and clean them up. In summary, the ability to add calculated fields to our SSRS reports give us greater reporting capabilities because calculated fields allow us to grow our set of data available for display beyond what is returned by the report query or stored procedure. We have introduced SSRS expressions in this video. Because these expressions have many uses, they will be revisited in upcoming videos. Welcome to Section 2, Video 4 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This section of the course covers formatting cells. Upon completing this video, you will know how to format data cells to clean up their display for an impressive visual impact. Let's start where we left off in Video 3. We will begin by formatting the number values for the quantity purchased, amount spent, and average spent per item columns. The formatting of cells in SSRS is similar to formatting cells in Excel. Most of the terminology is the same. Right-click on the right side of the text box on the bottom row of the quantity purchased column, which is the detail cell, and choose Text Box Properties. We will select the number page, select the number category, set the decimal places to 0, and check the Use Thousand Separator checkbox. Click on OK. We will need to repeat this for the two other text boxes in the quantity purchased columns group rows. Next, right-click on the right side of the text box on the bottom row of the amount spent column, which is the detail cell, and choose Text Box Properties. We will select the number page, select currency in the category, set decimal places to 2, check the Use Thousand Separator checkbox, and select the appropriate currency symbol. Click on OK. We will need to repeat this for the two other text boxes in the amount spent columns group rows and for all of the text boxes in the average amount spent per item column. Next, we will preview the report. Notice how much nicer the columns we formatted on the detail row appear. Next, let's set the background color for the group row that is set to white in the average spent per item column. We can right-click on the text box and choose Text Box Properties. Select the Fill page and then choose Light Steel Blue. Click on OK to return to the designer. The background color can also be set by using the Properties window. The final thing we will do in this video is to add the average calculation to the product category group level. Right-click on the top cell of the average spent per item column and choose Expression. Under Category, click on Fields Dataset 1. Under Values, double-click on Amount Spent. In the text box, add a / for division. Under Values, double-click on Quantity Purchased. Now we want to wrap both of the values in the sum function, as we see here. Click on OK to return to the designer. Notice how EXPR for expression now appears in the text box. Let's click on Preview to view the final results. The formatting of data cells in SSRS is similar to formatting cells in Excel. Fortunately, most of the terminology between the two applications is the same. Expressions can be used to derive values from many of the formatting settings. Welcome to Section 2, Video 5 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This video covers viewing reports on the report server. Upon completing this video, you will understand the purpose of the report server and how to use the report manager. Just a reminder that for this course, the report server is running in native mode and not in SharePoint integrated mode. And the report manager runs on the report server, and these two entities have differing URLs. Before we can view any reports on the report server in the report manager, we must deploy the data source and report to the report server. We do this by clicking on Build and Deploy Report Project 1 on the Visual Studio menu. When doing this, all objects in the Solution Explorer will be deployed. To deploy individual objects to the report server, right-click on the object, then select Deploy. We must be careful when redeploying SSRS objects to the report server because we can override any changes made on the server. The deployment settings in the Visual Studio Project Properties determine how and where the SSRS objects are deployed to the report server. To view these properties, right-click on the solution name and then click on Properties. Next, let's view the Report Manager in Internet Explorer. If you have SSRS installed on your PC with the default settings, you can type http://localhost:80/reports in Internet Explorer to launch the Report Manager. If you do not remember the path for the Report Manager or the Report Server, you can launch the Reporting Services Configuration Manager by clicking Start, Microsoft SQL Server 2012 Configuration Tools, Reporting Services Configuration Manager. If you do not have SSRS loaded on your PC, you will need to get the URL for the Report Server and Report Manager from your database administrator. Also, a database administrator or network administrator will need to grant permissions to viewing the report on the Report Server through the Report Manager. Once we have the Report Manager URL, type it into the address bar of Internet Explorer and press Enter. The home folder of the Report Manager should appear. There will be at least two folders, a Data Sources folder and a Report Project 1 folder. Clicking on the Data Sources folder will display our shared data source named localhost that we created in Section 1. Clicking on the shared data source will display the properties of the data source. These properties can be changed and the connection can be tested. Navigating back to the home directory, we can click on the Report Project 1 folder and view its contents. Our report named Tabular Report should be in this folder. Clicking on the report name will display the report. In summary, typically a database administrator or network administrator will need to grant permissions to viewing the report on the Report Server. The deployment settings in the Visual Studio Project properties determine how the SSRS objects are deployed to the Report Server. We must be careful when redeploying SSRS objects to the Report Server because we will override any changes made on the server. Welcome to the final video of Section 2 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This section of the course covers formatting the report for printing. Upon completing this video, you will understand what you need to check to ensure your report prints appropriately on paper. Just because the report displays nicely on the screen does not mean the report is formatted properly when printed. From the designer, in the Visual Studio menu, click on Report and then Report Properties. Choose the appropriate page units, paper orientation, paper size, and margins. Click on OK. Press F4 to display the Properties window. Choose Body and verify that the report body size does not exceed the size of the paper minus the margins. Verify that column headers and data are legible when printing on printers with only black ink or toner. In summary, we must be cautious because a report that displays properly on the computer screen might not fit properly on a printed page. Just like formatting column headers and cells, adjusting the page settings for proper printing can be an iterative process. We also must be cautious with color combinations because some of these combinations might not print well in grayscale on printers with only black ink or toner. Welcome to the first video of Section 3 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This section of the course covers the formatting of report headers and footers. We will take a look at adding the report header and footer, using the SSRS built-in fields in headers and footers, adding query-defined fields, adding images to the header, and the importance of displaying report metadata on our reports. Upon completing this video, you will know how to add a header and footer to an SSRS report. Let's begin where we left off in Section 2 with our tabular report. The Report Wizard does not automatically add a header and footer to the report. We will add them manually. On the Visual Studio menu, click on Report and then select Add Page Header. The header is added to the top of the page. The current content is shifted down. Note that the header is empty. Next, we will add the page footer by clicking on the Visual Studio Report menu and then choose Add Page Footer. Note that the footer is also empty. As we added the header and footer, the size of the report body increased with each addition. Let's drag the report title up to the header. Let's left align the text in the Purchase Year text box. Right-click on the Purchase Year text box and choose Text Box Properties. Click on Alignment. In the horizontal drop-down box, select Left. Click on OK. Finally, let's click on Preview. Now, when we move through the pages, the report title appears on every page. Similarly, the report footer will also appear on every page. In summary, the report page header and footer will display information on each page of the report. Page headers and footers are not automatically added by the report wizard. And remember that adding a header or footer increases the size of the report. Welcome to the second video of Section 3 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. In this video, we will cover some of the built-in fields that are specific to headers and footers. These built-in fields help the viewer navigate the report. Upon completing this video, you will know how to add page numbers to the report and where to find other built-in fields that can be utilized within your reports. Let's begin where we left off in Video 1 of Section 2. Our footer is currently empty. We will add the page number and the total number of pages to the footer. Let's right-click on the empty footer, select Insert, and then Text Box. We will position the text box in the top right of the footer, just under the dashed horizontal line, which represents the border between the footer and the report body. In the Properties window, let's name the new text box TXT Page Number. Now, let's right-click on the new text box and choose Expression to display the Expression Builder window. Under the category, choose Built-in Fields. When we highlight and scroll through the objects in the item box, notice how the description states that most of the items are to be used in the header or footer only. Next, under Item, double-click on Page Number, and then double-click on Total Pages. In the text box at the top, we need to separate the two values by adding a space, ampersand, space, double quote, space, OF, space, double quote, space, ampersand, space. This will format the text box to display the current page out of the total number of pages. For clarity to the viewer, just to the right of the equal sign, let's add double quote, uppercase P, lowercase a, g, e, space, double quote, space, ampersand, space. Click on OK to return to the report design screen. Right-click on the text box and choose Text Box Properties. Select Alignment and then select Right in the horizontal drop box. Let's click on Preview to see our new footer values. In summary, the Expression Builder will allow us to add several built-in fields that are designed only for the header or footer. These built-in fields help the viewer to navigate the report. Welcome to the third video of Section 3 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to add and display query-defined fields in the header and footer. Adding query-defined fields to a report can be tricky, especially if more than one row is returned. Let's begin by pressing the shortcut key Ctrl-Alt-D to display the Report Data window. Right-click on Datasets and choose Add Dataset. We will choose Use a Dataset embedded in my report. Our data source is the shared data source we specified earlier. Our query will be select space @ server name as server name. This query will return one row, and that is the database server name. Click on OK. In the header, we will insert a text box in the top right of the header. Next, let's right-click on the text box and choose Expression to launch the Expression Builder. In the Expression window, under Categories, select Datasets. Select Dataset 2 under Items, and under Values, double-click First Server Name. SSRS adds the first function to limit the data to the first row returned. Immediately to the right of the equal sign in the text box, we will add double quote, SERVER, colon, space, double quote, space, ampersand, space. This will effectively put a label in front of the data to provide clarity to the viewer. Click on OK. Press F4 to bring up the Properties window. We would like to right-align this new text box and name it TXT Server Name in the Properties window. The final step is to click the Preview tab to view our results. In summary, The query used to populate headers and footers should only return one row. New datasets can be added to an existing report, and query-defined fields can provide a much richer set of information for the viewer. Welcome to the fourth video of Section 3 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. In this video, we will discuss the importance of properly adding images to a report. Upon completing this video, you will know how to add and display an image in the header. Images such as a company logo or government seal can make the report look official and ready to be released to the public. It is important that we choose images that are not too large or too small. The image must be clear and legible on the report. Let's begin where we left off in Section 3. We need to make room for our image in the header by increasing the height of the header and moving the report title and server name text boxes down. Next, we will right-click on an empty portion of the header, select Insert, and then Image. The Image Properties window is displayed. We will give the image the name Logo. In the Select the Image Source drop-down box, choose Embedded. Under Use this image, click Import to browse the file system for the company logo file. Click on Open, then click on OK. We will need to adjust the properties of the image so it will display correctly. In the Properties window, choose Sizing, then Auto Size. Next, we will move the image to the top left of the header. Next, let's click Preview to make sure the image and other report elements display correctly. In summary, the addition of an organization's logo to the report header gives the feel of an official report. Make sure the image is not too large and not too small because we want the image to be legible and clear. Welcome to the final video of Section 3 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. In this video, we will discuss the importance of adding metadata to our report. Upon completing this video, our report will have sufficient information to determine who is looking at the report and at what time they were looking at the report. Printed reports still remain a security issue when confidential information is contained within these reports. For printed reports, metadata can be used to identify who accessed the data, when the data on the report was last updated, when they accessed the data. Let's begin where we left off in Section 4. Let's right-click in the footer to add a text box. Let's expand the width of the text box, and let's right-click on the text box to bring up the expression window. Under the Built-in Fields category, double-click on the User ID and Execution Time items. We will add some descriptive text to show that the report was viewed by the user at the execution time. Next, we will click on OK to return to the designer. Now, let's preview our report to make sure the data displays correctly. We should make any adjustments if necessary. When the user prints the report, this report metadata should appear on the report. In summary, printed reports are a security issue when confidential information is contained in these reports. We need to make sure we can identify who was viewing the report at the time it was printed. This concludes Section 3. Welcome to the first video of Section 4 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This section of the course covers the creation of a drill-down report. In the videos for this section, we will take a look at queries specialized for drill-down reports, creating the drill-down report, grouping in SSRS, toggling the drill-down display, and adding summary rows. Upon completing this video, you'll know how to write queries that work well with drill-down reports. Drill-down reports are designed to allow the viewer to drill down into the details of their data, usually in a hierarchical structure. Writing queries to efficiently display hierarchical data can sometimes be a challenge. We will see two example queries in this video, one in a date hierarchy, the other in a geography hierarchy. These queries are needed because a drill-down report allows you to look at the data at different levels. The first query shows a date hierarchy. Notice how each column is finer in detail, going from year down to quarter, then to month, and finally to the day of the month. Following our date column, we now have our product name and the measures we want to display in the report, which are quantity and amount. Also notice how we will group by and order by our date components and the product name. We will use this query to build a report in the next video. Our second query shows a geography hierarchy. In this query, each column drills down to a finer geographical region, going from country down to state or province, then to county, city, and then postal code. Once again, following our geography columns, we have our quantity and amount measures. Both of these queries are available in the supplemental materials for this course. In summary, queries for drill-down reports need to take advantage of established hierarchies in the data. This hierarchy needs to be easily understood within your organization. We want the server to do the heavy lifting of grouping and sorting so the report displays quicker. Drill down is an action you can apply to any report item to hide and show other report items. This allows you to organize and display data to help your users understand your report better. Welcome to the second video of Section 4 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. In this video, we will build our drill down report using our date hierarchy query from the previous video. With a well-written query, the report wizard can efficiently create a drill down report that will minimize the development effort. Let's begin by starting the report wizard. Go to the Solution Explorer and right-click on Reports and choose Add New Report. We will choose our shared data source we created in Section 1 and then click Next. Now we will paste our date hierarchy query from the previous video and click on Next. Select the default report type of tabular. Now click Next. On the Design the Table page, we will put nothing in the Displayed Fields box for the page. Hold down the Shift key and select Purchase Year, Purchase Quarter, Purchase Month, and Purchase Day. Then click on the Group. This will include fields in the group which are used for grouping in SSRS reports. Next, hold down the Shift key and select Product Name, Quantity Purchased, and Amount Spent, and click on Details. Now, click on Next. On the Choose the Table layout, we will select Stepped, Include Subtotals, and Enable Drill Down. Now, we click on Next. We will choose the Corporate Table Style, and then click Next. On the Completing the Wizard page, we will name the report Drill Down Report and click Finish to bring us back to the designer. Let's click on Preview to see the report. Click on the plus sign to drill down into the report by expanding the group. Click on the minus sign to collapse the group. This would be a good time to format the report so it displays nicely on the screen. In summary, the Report Wizard provides a very efficient method for us to create drill-down reports. On the Design the Page screen, we want to make sure that the Displayed Fields group box is populated with our drill-down hierarchy. Finally, we want to preview and format the report to make sure the data displays properly. Welcome to the third video of Section 4 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. In this video, we will examine grouping in SSRS, including what the symbols represent on the left side of the tablets and the properties in the Row Groups window. We will begin by clicking on any cell in the tablets. To the left of the tablets, we can see the grouping symbols. Starting from the bottom, we see the three horizontal bars. This indicates the detail row. The vertical braces are used to indicate groups. The shortest vertical brace indicates the most detailed grouping. The longest vertical brace indicates the highest level grouping. The Row Groups window shows all of the row groups defined for the report. Clicking on the down arrow of a row group in the Row Group window will display several options. We will choose Group Properties. There are several pages on the Group Properties window. The General page allows us to name the group and define how the data is grouped. The Page Breaks page will allow us to set page breaks on changes in group values. The Sorting page allows us to change the sorting options within the group. The Visibility page allows us to define when a group is displayed. The top-level group is defined to show by default when the report is initially run. The lower-level groups are set to be hidden by default and are toggled by the parent report item. The Filters page allows for defining filters. The Variables page allows us to add and modify group-level variables. In the Advanced section, the Document Map page allows us to define a document map for use when the report is exported to a PDF. In summary, having an understanding of the grouping symbols in SSRS can help the report developer to navigate the report designer in Visual Studio. Proper use of the group level options can add versatility and flexibility to the report. Welcome to the fourth video of Section 4 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to change the default behavior of the drill down report. Many report users want to see groups of the drill down report already expanded instead of having to spend the time to manually expand the groups. This saves a lot of time for the users. Let's begin to change this behavior by clicking on the down arrow of the second row group and choosing Group Properties. Select the Visibility page, click on the Show Radio button under When the report is initially run, and click on OK. There is another way to change this behavior by selecting the group name in the row group window, then bringing up the Properties window and changing the hidden property to False. The next step is to set the initial toggle state of the parent item text box to True. Click on the parent item text box and set Initial Toggle State to True. We need to change these properties for each group we would like to show when the report is initially run. Now, let's preview the report to make sure the default behavior has changed. In summary, the default behavior of the drill down report is for each level or group to be hidden except the top level. The report developer has the capability to choose which groups are to be expanded and visible when the report is initially displayed. Welcome to the fifth and final video of Section 4 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to add a grand total row to the bottom of the drill down report. By default, there is no grand total row on a drill down report. We will add one to the bottom of our report. Select the Detail row and right-click. Choose Insert Row, Outside Group below. Repeat this process of inserting rows outside the group below until the row is no longer associated with a group, which is shown when there is no vertical brace associated with the row. Next, we will copy the quantity and amount spent cells from one of the group rows and paste it in the bottom row, as we are doing here. Now, we want to delete all of the rows between the detail row and the bottom row of the report. Once we have all the extra rows deleted, we need to change the color scheme and add a label for the grand total row. We will change the background color to dark blue and the text color to white. We will add the text grand total to the product name column on the bottom row. Finally, we will preview the report to view our new grand total row. In summary, by default, a summary row to display a grand total is not added to the drill down report. Adding the summary row to our drill down report required a few steps to get the total outside of the group and to display correctly. Once finished, a grand total summary row is very beneficial to the report viewer and makes our report even more valuable to the viewer. Welcome to the first video of Section 5 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This section of the course covers the use of parameters within a report. In particular, we will discuss the different parameter types, how to populate parameter values available for selection to the user, how to set the default values, filtering by a parameter value, and displaying parameter values within the report. Upon completing this video, you will know how to add a parameter to a report and the differences among the parameter types. SSRS report parameters allow for the filtering of data without changing the base query for the report. Let's begin by creating a new report and add a parameter to this report. We will go through the report wizard using Report Query 4 from the supplemental materials. So let's add a new report by right-clicking on Reports and choosing Add New Report. Select our local host shared data source and click on Next. Paste the query from Report Query 4 into the query string text box and click on Next. Select the matrix report type and then click on Next. Now we want to move Purchase Year into the Columns box, Product Name into the Rows box, and Quantity Purchased and Amount Spent into the Details box. We will make the product category a parameter in the report after we complete the report wizard. Click on Next. We will choose Corporate for the style and then choose Next. We will name the report Parameter Example, and then click on Finish to bring us to the design screen. We can preview the report to see all of the data returned. We will format the report in the last video of this section. The next step is for us to add the parameter. We need to return to the Design tab. Let's display the report data window by pressing together Ctrl-Alt-D. Next, let's right-click on the Parameters folder and select Add Parameter. The general page of the Report Parameter Properties window is displayed. Let's name the report parameter Parm Product Category. For the prompt, let's enter Product Category followed by a colon. We will choose text for our data type because the product category is a varchar in the database. We will have to choose a data type that is similar to one we have in SQL Server. We leave the 3 checkboxes unchecked. We will not allow blank values. We will not allow null values, and we will not allow the user to select multiple values. For the parameter visibility, we will choose Visible. Visible parameter types are visible to the user and will allow the user to pick the parameter value to be used in the report. Hidden parameter types are not visible to the user for selection in the report view, but can be passed to the report. Hidden parameters are especially useful for drill-through reports, which we will cover in Section 6. Internal parameters can only be set within the report definition. Let's click on OK and preview our report. Notice how the product category is blank. If we click on View Report, we will get an error stating that the parameter cannot be blank. Let's enter dairy for the product category and then click on View Report. Notice the report data is not filtered by product category. We will filter by parameter values in video 3 of this section. In the next video, we will programmatically populate the product category box. In summary, SSRS report parameters allow for the filtering of data without changing the base query for the report. Visible parameter types are visible to the user and will allow the user to pick the parameter value to be used in the report. Hidden parameter types are not visible to the user for selection, but can be passed to a report. Internal parameters can only be set within the report definition and cannot be changed by the user. Welcome to the second video of Section 5 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to populate the available and default values for the report. Setting available parameter values and default values reduce the likelihood of a user creating a report with unintended data. As report developers, building this robustness into the report is beneficial to the user and us. Using this functionality will make our report more flexible and limit the report user to select only the available values. Let's pick up where we left off in the previous video. We want to use a query to create a distinct list of product categories and display this list in the product categories parameter box. We will do this by adding a data set. In the Report Data window, right-click on Datasets and choose Add Dataset. We will name this dataset Product Categories. Select Use a Dataset embedded in my report. We will choose our localhost data source, and we will paste our query from Report Query 5 in the supplemental materials. Now we click on OK. We see our new dataset in the Report Data window. Now we want to add these values to the report parameter box in the report. Let's right-click on the parameter, Parm Product Category, and choose Parameter Properties to display the Report Parameters Properties window. Select Available Values on the left to display the Available Values page. Let's select Get Values from a Query. Let's select the Product Categories dataset, Product Category for the Value field, and Product Category for the Label field. Now let's click on OK and preview the report. Now, our product category parameter entry method is a drop-down list box. The report won't display until we click View Report. Let's go back to design mode and again right-click on the parameter Parm Product Category and choose Parameter Properties to display the Report Parameters property window. This time, we will select Default Values, on the left to display the default values page. We will choose Specify Values. Next, we will click on the Add button and type the word dairy in the value box. Here we also have an additional option to get default values from a query. We click on OK to return to the Report Design window. Let's click on Preview. Notice how the default value is populated in the drop-down box, and the report displays automatically without pressing View Report. In the next video, we will use the parameter value to filter the data displayed on the screen. To summarize, setting available parameter values and default values reduce the probability that a report user has unintended data in their report. The available and default values can be set automatically through the use of a query or by manual entry. We need to remember that setting available and default values do not automatically implement them within the report. Welcome to the third video of Section 5 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to filter the report data by the selected parameter value. If you have observed carefully up to this point, the selected parameter for the product category has no impact on the data displayed in the report. We will pick up where we left off in the previous video. Let's right-click on Dataset 1 and then select Dataset Properties. Click on Filters to display the Filters page of the Dataset Properties window. Click on the Add button. In the expression box, select Product Category. We will select the equal sign from the operator box. Next, we will click on the Function button to the left of the value box to launch the Expression Builder window. Select Parameters in the category, All in Item, and then double-click on PARM Product Category. Now we will click on the OK button, close the Expression Builder, and return to the Dataset Properties window. The Filters page of the Dataset Properties window now shows the dataset will be filtered where the product category in the dataset equals the product category parameter value. Let's click on OK and preview the report. By the default value we set, only those products in the dairy category are displayed. Let's change the product category parameter to cleaning products and then click on View Report to display the data for cleaning products. In summary, we can set up filters on a dataset through the Dataset Properties window. The SSRS Expression Builder allows us to access and use parameter values within the report. Welcome to the fourth and final video of Section 5 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to display parameter values within the report and how to format specific data types. If we export the report to a PDF or print the report, the parameter value is not displayed. We need to display the parameter value so the user will know what parameter value was used to generate the report. We will start where we left off in the previous video and add a page header. Let's drag the report title into the header to add Report Parameter Example as the heading. To display our report parameter, we need to right-click inside the header, select Insert, and then Text Box. We will move the text box to the far left and make it wider. Now let's right-click on the text box and select Expression. In the Expression Builder, let's add double quote, product, category, colon, space, double quote, space, ampersand, space. Click on Parameters under Category, All under Item, and double-click on PARM Product Category. Click on OK to return to the designer. Next, we will preview the report, and we can see where the product category is displayed in the header. We can change the product category to cleaning, and then click on View Report to see how the text box in the header reflects the change in the parameter. Next, we will format the quantity purchase cell to be a number with no decimal places, and click on OK. And then we will format the amount spent cell for currency and click on OK. Finally, we want to center the column headers by highlighting the header rows and clicking on the Center button. Finally, let's click on Preview to see our formatted report. In summary, by default, the selected parameter values will not appear on printed or exported reports. SSRS allows us to add the parameter values to the header or footer using text boxes and the expression builder. The expression builder will allow the report developer to utilize parameters as necessary throughout the report. Welcome to the first video of Section 6 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This section of the course will cover the creation of drill-through reports. Drill-through reports allow the user to view more detailed information about an item of interest in a report. In particular, we will discuss the parent-child relationship found in drill-through report, how to create a child report, adding a report parameter to a query, configuring the drill-through reporting action, and how to deploy the drill-through reports to the report server. Upon completing this video, you will know how to create a drill-through child report. A drill-through report is a report where a user can click on a data item in a parent report to get a more detailed view of that item via another report, which we will call the child report. For this section, we will create a new report to be our child report, and then we will modify the report when created in Section 5 to be our parent report. Let's start by first creating the child report. We will start the report wizard by right-clicking on Reports and clicking on Add New Report. We will select our local host, shared data source, and click on Next. On the Design the Query page, we will use the query, select star from dbo.tbl product, which will select all rows and columns from the product table. In the next video, we will add a parameter to this query to limit the data to one row. Click on Next. Now let's select Tabular for the type of report and click on Next. On the Design the Table page of the Report Wizard, let's move all fields except the product name to the Displayed Fields box at the Details level. For this example, we will use product name as the field on which we will drill through. Let's click on Next. We will choose Corporate for the style and click on Next. We will give this report the name Product Details and then click on Finish. Let's preview the report. Notice how every row in the product table is returned. We will restrict this in the next video. Now we will go to the Report Data window by pressing Ctrl-Alt-D simultaneously, right-click on Parameters, and click on Add Parameter. On the General page of the Report Parameters Properties page, let's name the parameter parm product name. We will put product name : in the prompt box and choose Hidden for the parameter visibility. On the Default Values page, we will choose Specify Values. Next, we will click on the Add button. In the value box, we will type a product name such as American Cheese Block. Make sure the spelling is correct. Click on OK to return to the design screen. We see the parameter now in the report data screen. At this point, the parameter does nothing. In the next video, we will show how to add this parameter in a where clause of the query. In summary, report users can utilize drill-through reports to view more detailed information about an item of interest in a report. Drill-through reports have a parent-child relationship between them. For proper operation, we must add the drill-through functionality into both the parent and the child reports. Welcome to the second video of Section 6 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to add a parameter to a query in a child drill-through report. We need to restrict the data in this report to the one row represented by the hidden value parameter in the report. In Section 5, we used a parameter to filter a data set. In this video, we will use the parameter in the query itself. Let's begin where we left off in the previous video with our Product Details report. In the Report Data window, expand the Datasets folder, right-click on Dataset 1, and select Dataset Properties. In the Dataset Properties window, select the Parameters page. We need to map the report parameter to a query parameter. Let's click on the Add button. In the Parameter Name box, we will type @product name. In the Parameter Value drop-down box, select @parm product name. Now that we have defined the query parameter, let's add it to the query. We will click on the Query page of the Dataset Properties window. In the query text box, we will add where product name equals @product name. Click on OK to return to design mode. Let's preview the report to make sure one row is returned. We see that the product name is not displayed on the report. We will add the product name to the report title. Let's right-click on the title's text box and select Expression. This will display the expression builder. We will add equal double quote in front of product details. We will add a space, then the word for, another space, and then a double quote. After the double quote, we need to add a space, an ampersand, and then another space. The ampersand is the string concatenation operator in SQL Server reporting services. Next, we will click on Parameters in the category box, click on All in the item box, and then double-click the PARM product name in the Values box. Click on OK to return to the designer. We see where the letters EXPR have replaced the report title. These characters indicate that the text in the box is defined by an expression. Next, we want to preview the report to ensure that our report title text box is populated correctly. In the next video, we will drill through to this child report from the parent report. In summary, we need to make sure the child report of a drill-through report only contains the data of interest to the user. Also, SQL Server Reporting Services separates query parameters and report parameters into separate entities. Finally, if we are using a report parameter in a query, we need to map the report parameter to a query parameter. Welcome to the third video of Section 6 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to configure the parent report to add the drill-through action that launches the child report. SQL Server Reporting Services provides the functionality for objects in the report such as text boxes and images to perform an action when the object is clicked. This action will allow us to drill through from the parent report to the child report. Let's start with our parent report from our report parameter example. We will right-click on the product name cell and choose Text Box Properties. Select Action to display the Change Action Options page. Under Enable as an Action, select Go to Report. Under Specify a Report, select Product Details from the drop-down box. Next, we will click on the Add button to specify the parameter to pass to the child report. We will choose PARM product name from the Name drop-down box. We will choose Product Name from the Value drop-down box. This will pass the product name to the Product Details child report's hidden product name parameter. Now we are ready to click on OK and return to the designer page. Let's click on Preview to see the report. If we mouse over the product names, we will see the pointer change from an arrow to a hand. To help guide the user to realize the product names are a link to another report, we will change the appearance of the product name column to a white background with a blue underlined font to differentiate parent and child report. Let's right-click on the product name cell and choose Text Box Properties. On the Fill page, we want to change the fill color to white. Other colors may be chosen, but the idea here is to make the text appear to be a link to another report. On the Font page, let's change the color to blue and the effects to underline. Now we will click on OK to return to the designer. Notice how the text now appears to be a hyperlink. Let's click on Preview from the Report Parameter Example Report. Next, we'll click on the link Butter in the product name column to drill through to get more details about the butter. Product Details report is now displayed. We can return to the parent report by clicking on the Back to Parent Report button, which is the left arrow just above the word For in the Product Details report. In summary, SQL Server Reporting Services provides the functionality for certain objects in the report to perform an action when the object is clicked. The Action page of the Text Box Property window allows for the specification of the drill-through child report to display and any parameters that need to be passed to it. As a benefit to the report user, it is a good practice to give text boxes that have an action associated with them the appearance of hyperlinks. Welcome to the fourth and final video of Section 6 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to deploy the drill-through reports to the report server. For drill-through reports, both the parent and the child report must be deployed to the report server for proper operation. We will start by deploying the child report named Product Details to the report server. Let's go to the Solution Explorer window. We will right-click on the Product Details report and select Deploy. We can monitor the deployment progress in the Visual Studio Output window. The Output window can be displayed by pressing Ctrl, Alt, and the letter O simultaneously. Once we see that the report has deployed successfully, we'll be ready to deploy the parent report, Report Parameter Example. Remember that the deployment project settings are on the Project's Properties page and are accessed by selecting Project from the Visual Studio menu and then selecting Properties. The Report Server URL is different than the Report Manager URL. Think of the Report Server as a web service that handles report metadata, while the Report Manager is used to view the report. Your database administrator can supply you with the Report Manager URL. Next, we will deploy the parent report by right-clicking on our Report Parameter Example report and selecting Deploy. Once again, we will monitor the deployment progress in the Visual Studio Output window. Now we will use Internet Explorer to go to the Report Manager. We see our Data Sources folder and Report Project 1 folders. Let's click on the Report Project 1 folder. We can see the parent report and the child report. Let's click on the parent report to have it displayed. Next, let's click on a product name to have the details of that product displayed. This confirms to us that both of our reports have been deployed successfully. In summary, both the parent and the child reports have to be deployed to the report server for them to properly operate. Once the reports are deployed, the drill-through reports should behave the same in the Report Manager as they do in Visual Studio. The project's property page in Visual Studio is where the deployment settings are specified.
Welcome to the first video of Section 7 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. This section of the course covers the creation of pie and bar charts. Pie and bar charts are excellent methods of creating a high-impact visualization of information. In particular, we will discuss queries optimized for pie charts and bar charts, the actual creation of the pie chart and bar chart reports, formatting the legends and labels, and placing two sub-reports onto one report. Upon completing this video, you will know how to write queries optimized for pie and bar charts, and we will have started making, but not finishing, reports containing these report objects. Pie chart queries need to return labels, counts, and percentages. The percentages in the pie chart queries need to add up to 100%. Bar chart queries need to return a label and a numeric value. Let's begin our pie chart by starting the report wizard and choosing our localhost shared data source and click on Next. Copy the query and report query6.sql from the supplemental materials into the query string text box and click on Next. We will choose the tabular report type. Displaying the report data in a tabular form along with a pie, bar, or other visualization will help the report viewer understand the data. Click on Next. Move all three data fields into the Displayed Fields box at the detail level and then click Next. Choose Corporate for the report style and then click on Next. Let's name this report Pie Chart and then click on Finish. Click on Preview to make sure the data looks correct. We will add the pie chart to this report in the next video. Now let's start the bar chart by launching the report wizard. Again, we will choose our localhost shared data source. Copy the query and report query7.sql from the supplemental materials into the query string text box and then click on Next. Again, we will choose the tabular report type, click on Next, move both of the data fields into the Displayed Fields box at the detail level and then click on Next. Choose Corporate for the report style and then click on Next. Let's name this report Bar Chart and then click on Finish. Let's preview the report to validate the data. We will add the bar chart object to this report in video 3. In summary, using pie and bar charts in a report are an excellent method of creating a high-impact visualization of information. Queries for pie and bar charts need to take advantage of the database server's processing power and let the server handle the grouping and sorting. Finally, to help the report viewer understand the data in the pie, bar, or other visualization, make sure to also display the report data in a tabular form.
Welcome to the second video of Section 7 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to insert a pie chart into a report. Pie charts are an excellent way to demonstrate how data is distributed by percentage across different categories. Let's open up the pie chart report we created in the first video of this section. We will create space in the report body for the pie chart. Next, we will right-click on the report body, click on Insert, and then Chart. We can also drag the chart from the Report tool set to the Design palette. Select the pie in the Shapes section based on your requirements, and then click on OK. This will insert a chart object of type pie into the body. Let's move the table below the pie and expand the size of the pie. Right-click on the pie chart to display the chart data window. Assign the percentage per product field to the values field. Assign the product category to the category groups field. Now we are finished with the chart data window. Next, let's preview our pie chart. Notice how the dairy category appears to occupy half of the pie. This is correct since our table shows that dairy makes up 52% of sales. In the fourth video of this section, we will add and format labels, legends, and titles to help the report user to understand the information presented to them on the screen. In summary, pie charts provide an excellent visualization of data distributed by percentage across different categories. SQL Server Reporting Services provides many types of chart objects for use in reports which are similar to those in Excel. The chart data window is used to assign values to the pie chart. Welcome to the third video of Section 7 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to insert a bar chart into a report. A bar chart is an excellent way to show two-dimensional data when you have a few data points. The SSRS bar chart shares many properties and attributes with a column chart. Let's open up the bar chart report we created in the first video of this section. We will create space in the report body for the bar chart. Then, let's move our table to the bottom of the report. Let's right-click in the blank space in the report body, then choose Insert and Chart. We will choose the bar chart in the bar section. Click on OK to insert the object into the report. Right-click on the bar chart to display the chart data window. Assign the amount spent field in our report data set to the values field. Assign the purchase year field in our report data set to the category groups field. Let's click on Preview to see the report. As expected, the bar representing the amount spent in 2013 is considerably shorter than the 2012 and 2011 bars. We will format the labels, axes, and title in the next video. In summary, bar charts provide an excellent way to visualize two-dimensional data when you have a few data points. The SSRS bar chart and column chart share many properties and attributes between them. The numeric and category values in the chart data window must be assigned with dataset fields. Welcome to the fourth video of Section 7 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to format legends, labels, and axes in chart objects. There are a myriad of ways to configure report legends, titles, labels, and other properties for chart objects. We will work with both our pie and bar charts we created earlier. Let's begin with the pie chart. Right-click on the pie and select Show Data Labels to place the percentage values on the pie slices. Next, we need to format the values to be percentages. Let's right-click on the data labels and choose Series Label Properties. We will select Number, then Percentage. Set the decimal places to 0, and then click on OK. Now, we will move the labels to the outside of the pie and add lines to point to the section of the pie representing the label. Let's go to the Properties window for the Chart Series labels by pressing the F4 key. For the Position attribute, choose Outside from the drop-down box. Now we will click on the pie and go to the Properties window for the chart series. Expand Custom Attributes. We will choose Outside for pie label style, and we will choose Black for pie line color. We can see the changes as we apply them in the design screen. To change the chart title, we will click on the title
and change it to percentage of purchases by product category for 2013. Next, we will move the legend to the bottom center. Right-click on the legend and choose Legend Properties. We will choose the bottom center radio button under the legend position and then click on OK. The last thing we will do with the pie chart report is to format the amount spent column as currency and the percentage column as a percentage. Click on the amount spent text box. In the Properties window, in the Format attribute box, enter single quote, $, single quote, £, comma, 0.00. Click on the percentage per product text box. In the Properties window, in the Format attribute box, enter 0 followed by the %. Let's preview the report to see our formatting changes. For the bar chart, we will click on the horizontal axis title and edit caption property in the property window. We will set the caption to amount spent in millions of US dollars. Now we will click on the vertical axis title and edit the caption property in the property window. We will set the caption to calendar year. Let's right-click on the horizontal axis and choose Horizontal Axis Properties. Select Number in the category box, 1 decimal place, and show values in millions, and then click on OK. Click on the Amount Spent text box. In the Properties window, in the Format attribute box, enter single quote, $, single quote, £, comma, 0.00. Next, we will change the chart title to Amount Spent per calendar year. Before we preview the report, let's expand the size of the bar chart object. Finally, we will click on Preview to view our report. In summary, there are numerous ways to configure the properties of chart objects, such as legends, titles, and labels. When formatting report objects, the right-click pop-up property windows might not show all of the attributes of an object. However, the Visual Studio Properties window shows all of the attributes. Welcome to the fifth and final video of Section 7 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to place 2 sub-reports onto one report and also know how we can reuse any existing report in another report. SSRS report definitions are reusable objects which may be embedded into other reports as sub-reports. Let's begin by going to the Solution Explorer, right-clicking on Reports, selecting Add, and then New Item. We will click on the report in the middle pane of the Add New Item window. Let's name this new report subreports.rdl and then click on Add. We see an empty report body. To add a subreport object, we can drag a subreport object from the toolbox to the report body. To display the toolbox, type Ctrl-Alt-X simultaneously. Or we can right-click on the report body and choose Insert and then choose Subreport. Whichever method we choose, a subreport object is placed on the report body. We will resize the subreport object to make it wider. Now, we need to assign an existing report to the subreport object. Let's right-click on the subreport object and choose Subreport Properties. Let's choose Pie Chart from Use this report as a subreport drop-down box and then click on OK. We see where the pie chart label is applied to the subreport object. Now, let's insert another subreport object by right-clicking on an empty place in the report body, selecting Insert, and selecting Subreport. Let's resize the new subreport to match the pie chart subreport. Next, let's right-click on the subreport object and choose Subreport Properties. Let's choose Bar Chart from the Use this report as a subreport drop-down box and then click on OK. Now, let's preview our report to see our 2 subreports. Make sure, when deploying reports that contain subreports, that all the report objects are deployed to ensure the reports work correctly. In summary,
Fortunately for report developers, SSRS report definitions are reusable objects. Existing reports may be embedded into other reports as subreports. It is very important to test the report containing subreports in Visual Studio and on the report server. It is also important to check the visual presentation on the report server and to check the printed reports formatting. Welcome to the first video of Section 8 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. In this section, we will discuss queries optimized for gauges, spark lines, and indicators for reports. Then we will use these queries to create reports containing gauges, spark lines, and indicators. In the last video of this section, we will combine these components to create a dashboard. Upon completing this video, you will know how to write queries optimized for gauges, spark lines, and indicators. Gauges, spark lines, and indicators are report objects in SSRS which provide an impressive way to display summarized information for presentations, documents, and web pages. These report objects have many configuration options, which make for a seemingly endless number of ways to implement them. For gauges, it is best that the query return an amount, a target value, and a percentage for a specific item. This query is in report query 8.sql of the supplemental materials. For spark lines, the query needs to return a series of numbers, preferably showing how a value changes over time. Spark line objects can be embedded in a table in an aggregated row. This query can be found in report query 9.sql of the supplemental materials. For indicators, the query can return an amount, a target value, and a percentage for multiple items. Indicators can also be embedded within the cell of a table. This query is located in report query 10.sql of the supplemental materials. In summary, gauges, spark lines, and indicators are report objects in SSRS which provide an impressive way to display summarized information. These report objects have many configuration options which make for a seemingly endless number of ways to implement them. Welcome to the second video of Section 8 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to add a gauge to a report and modify some of its properties. Gauges are an excellent way to show progress towards a numeric goal. Let's begin by adding a new report. We will select the local host shared data source. Next, we will paste the query from report query 8.sql. Choose Tabular and then Next. We will move all of the available fields to the Details box. Click on Next. Select Corporate for the style and then click Next. Then we will name the report Gauge and click Finish. We need to format the columns. Right-click on the Amount Spent column and choose Text Box Properties. We'll change the Amount Spent column to Currency with the 1000 separator check and 0 decimal places. Right-click on Target Amount and choose Text Box Properties. Again, choose Currency with 1000 separator checked and 0 decimal places. Click on OK. Right-click on Percentage to Target and choose Text Box Properties. We will set this column to be a percentage with no decimal places. Next, we will make room for the gauge. Let's right-click, select Insert, and then Gauge. Let's choose Radial and then OK. We will resize the gauge and the table. Let's click twice on the gauge to display the gauge data window. We will select Percentage to Target in the pop-up list. Because a higher number is a positive, we will change the range fill color from red to green. We will right-click on the range and then choose Range Properties. Select Fill and change the secondary color to green and then click on OK. From the design view, we are ready to preview the gauge. In summary, gauges are an excellent way to show progress towards a numeric goal. SSRS gauges are radial or linear. The field to use with a gauge must be specified in the Gauge Data window. Welcome to the third video of Section 8 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to add a spark line to a table. Spark lines can help add a historical perspective to numbers displayed in a table. Let's start by adding a new report. We will select our localhost shared data source. Next, we will paste the query from report createa9.sql. We will choose tabular. We will move product category to the group box, move amount spent to the details box, and then click on Next. We will choose Stepped, check Include Subtotals, and check Enable Drill Down. Click on Next. We will choose Corporate for the style, and then Next. We will name our report Sparkline, and then click Finish. Right-click in the Amount Spent column, choose Insert Column, and then Write. We will name this new column History. From the toolbox, drag a Sparkline object into the empty cell of the middle row. We will choose the column Sparkline type and click OK. To make a better display, we will set the vertical alignment of all cells to middle and format the amount spent cell to currency. Next, we will double-click on the Sparkline to display the chart data window. We will choose amount spent for the value and year month for the category group. Now we are ready to preview. When we click on the plus sign, the rows expand to show the data that makes up the Sparkline. In summary, Sparklines can help add a historical perspective to numbers displayed in a table. Sparklines look like two-dimensional graphs without the axes. Using drill-down options effectively can help the user see the detailed data behind the Sparkline. Welcome to the fourth video of Section 8 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to add an indicator to a report. SSRS indicators are an excellent way to show progress towards a categorical goal or the current status of a process. In this example, a green circle will indicate the goal has been achieved, a yellow triangle indicates that the goal is close but not attained, and a red diamond indicates failure. Let's start by adding a new report. We will select our local host shared data source and click on Next. Next, we will paste the query from report createa10.sql and click on Next. Select Tabular and then click on Next. Let's move all of the available fields to the details level and click on Next. We will choose Corporate for the style and then click on Next. We will name the report Indicator and click on Finish. Next, we will add the column to hold the indicator. Right-click on the percentage to goal column, choose Insert Column, and then Write. We will name this column Status. From the toolbox, drag an indicator object into the empty cell. We will choose the three signs in the Shapes category. Using indicators with different colors and shapes will help those who are color vision deficient. Click on OK to return to the designer. Next, we will right-click on the indicator and select Indicator Properties. On the Values and States page, in the Value drop-down box, we will choose Percentage to Target. In the States measurement unit, we will choose Numeric. For the red diamond, we will start with 0 and end at 0.8. For the yellow triangle, we will start at 0.81 and end at 0.94. For the green circle, we will start at 0.95 and end at 1. When we click on OK, the indicator turns green. When we click on Preview, we see the top data row is taller than the other rows. Let's go into Design Mode and change the Amount Spent box to Currency. Let's also change the Target Amount box to Currency. Let's change the Percentage to Target to Percentage. We will widen the Product Category column and center all of the column headers. When we click on Preview, our report is much neater and organized. In summary, SSRS indicators are an excellent way to show progress towards a categorical goal or the current status of a process. Using indicators with different colors and shapes will help those who are color vision deficient. The Indicator Properties window maps the data values to the symbol to be displayed. Welcome to the fifth and final video of Section 8 of Creating Reports with SQL Server 2012 Reporting Services. Upon completing this video, you will know how to create a dashboard out of existing reports using all of our previous techniques of subreports, charts, and drill-down reports. Dashboards allow for online reporting of high-level information to allow management to quickly find where the business is performing well and where attention needs to be placed. Let's start Create a Dashboard by adding a new item in the Solution Explorer. Select Report and name it Dashboard.rdl, and then click on Add. Let's expand the size of the report body. Next, we will add 4 subreports by right-clicking on the design surface and choosing Insert and then Subreport. We will resize the subreport object so all 4 will fit into our allotted space. Right-click on the subreport object and select Copy. Right-click again and select Paste. We will paste a total of 3 times, so we will have 4 subreport objects on the palette. Now, we need to assign a report to each of the subreport objects. On the top left, under Subreport Properties, we will assign the Sparkline report to the subreport. We will also set the border to Outline. In the top right subreport, under Subreport Properties, we will assign the Gauge report and set the border to Outline. In the bottom right report, under Subreport Properties, we will assign the Indicator report and set the border to Outline. In the bottom left subreport, we will assign the Pie Chart report and set the border to Outline. After assigning the subreports and setting the border, we are ready to preview our dashboard report. Make sure to examine all subreport objects to ensure proper operation. Also, inspect printed versions of the dashboard to ensure proper alignment on the paper. We can always go back to the original reports and add descriptive labels to help the user understand what they are viewing, as we did in Video 4 of Section 7. In summary, dashboards allow for online reporting of high-level information. Decision makers should be able to determine what areas of their organization need attention just from a quick glance at the dashboard. The dashboard should be made from individual reports added as subreports to a parent report.